n 9 AM is when the draft actually, like, started, or no, 9 AM was when he was drafted. So, at 8 AM, I had spoken with the USO prior to, and they had opened it up to us because we don't have access to ESPN out here,
Okay.
because Japan. So the USO has access to US TV networks. So we were able to work with the USO, and then they opened it up to us at 8 AM for me and my Marines to go watch the draft. And
Okay.
just leading up to it, I was having a hard time sleeping, so I know he was struggling to sleep. I was just so excited for him and for our family.
When did you speak with him before the draft? Like prior to the draft, when was the last time you spoke with him?
Probably the night prior, so right before I went to bed. I was just talking with him and going over, because there were a lot of articles that were coming out and a lot of things, and I was just trying to calm him down a little bit, ease him up, because I know he was pretty excited, and he was having a hard time sleeping, and his tension was up. But I told him it doesn't matter like where you go, you're gonna excel because of your work ethic and the person you are. So it doesn't matter. Just enjoy your day and have fun with the family.
And what was it like the last year? I mean, he went to the Cape Cod League, I believe, and all of a sudden, his draft stock just shot through the roof.
Hmm.
Um, he had a great summer last summer. So like, how was he handling that? Like, how did he go about handling that? Just it seemed like an instant kind of going from a really good
Hmm.
player to like a top 10 draft pick.
Yeah, I think he always has the chip on his shoulder. He didn't know how good he was. I think that's a good way of describing it. He didn't realize, he just plays. So he's not looking at stats. He's not looking at, oh, I've gone 89 games reaching or getting on base. He doesn't look at any of that. He just plays and he enjoys the game and loves it. So I think that was like really what set him apart, is he never looked at his stats. He didn't know what was going on. He just was there, especially at the Cape Cod League. He was there to win and to play baseball. That's all he cares about.
Uh-huh. So what was it like for your family when you finally did hear his name called?
It was awesome. To see the look in my dad's eyes and to see my mom and everyone there to support him. It was, even though I wasn't there, I felt like I was there, and it was a good feeling to see all that when it was going down, because I know how hard he's worked, and I know every single person in that room gave something to get him to that point.
Um, so what's your what's like? Is it a tight knit family? I mean, now you have a top 10 draft pick in the family and a officer in the Marine Corps. Like, um, is it a tight knit family with your brothers and your folks?
Oh yeah, yeah. We're super close. I mean, since the beginning, me, my brother, my sister, my mom and dad, super close. We do everything together. I haven't been able to be home for, I think it's been like 6 or 7 years since I've lived in Arizona. But I mean, they still find ways to fly out here to Okinawa.
Okay.
They find ways to make it to all my games in Maryland. We're very close as a family. I call my mom every other day. I talk with my dad every other day. Same thing with Nick and my little sister Faith.
Okay. When was the last time you saw Nick play in person?
Uh, the last time I saw him play in person, I think, was the WAC championship his sophomore year.
Okay.
So yeah, so it was. I think that was his last, or almost the last game, because they went to the tournament. But I got to see them win the WAC tournament championship, and that was awesome. He had a great game. I think he had a great weekend,
Yeah.
and it was awesome to see. Trying to remember, I think my wife was there as well, and it was a good family environment. It was awesome coming back to.
And before that, when was the last time? I'm just wondering, like, did you see him progress? Because I mean, you were obviously in the Navy, or at the Naval Academy. So, like, did you see his career progress, or did you just get bits and pieces of it in person?
So I got to see the progression when I was at the academy. Every time I'd come home, him and I, that was one of the first things we did was, all right, let's go hit. So my dad would always throw batting practice to us. That was like our pastime. We'd go to the field, he'd throw batting practice to us, and I'd try to beat him, but I never could. I would try to get as close as I could. And I could see it. I could see the shift in his focus, his confidence, his swing altogether. And I think once he hit that college level, his coach, Coach Green, as soon as he made those little tweaks and adjustments to his swing, it just became there was no more competing for me. I wasn't going to beat him in the batting practice sessions that we did or anything like that. And I could see it every game. His confidence level, his swagger when he stepped up to the plate. I remember watching him as a freshman. He would like eagerly get into the box and like get ready to hit. And he was you could see it. He was tense. He was nervous. But then as a sophomore and as a junior, I mean, he takes his time. He undoes his gloves. It's his plate. So he's not letting the pitcher dictate anything. He knows he owns the box. And it was definitely a swagger and a confidence level that was above average. And I think that really played a huge role in him settling down and knowing he's good and I can do this.
Are you? I mean, your brothers. I mean, I'm competitive with my brother when we were younger. Was there a competition factor there?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what it was. It could be like who can eat more or who could hit a ball further. It was literally every single thing we competed in. Playing video games, we still compete. I play them in Call of Duty every other time. And everything we do is still a competition. He sends me videos of him squatting right now, like, oh, look at what I did. You can't do this right now. And then I got to respond back. And then it's just back and forth, endless competition. But I think when it comes to baseball, I think he's finally got me. I don't know if I can compete anymore.
Yeah. So let's talk about your athletic career. I mean, you were I was just reading your the bio from going into your senior year at Navy. I mean, you were a great, good all-state kind of baseball player. You know, did you have other offers to go to Navy? Was football your passion? Can you talk about like what led to you ending up there?
Yeah. So I definitely believe football was my passion. Unlike my brother who has the baseball mentality where he's okay to fail. I had a hard time failing in baseball. You have to know how to fail.
Okay.
So I had a hard time with, I think, the mental aspect of baseball. Whereas football, if I messed up, I knew I could knock over the next guy and then very next play 10 seconds later, instead of baseball where it's maybe like an hour later when you get your next at bat. So I chose football. And coming out of high school, I had two offers, the Naval Academy and West Point.
Oh, okay.
Those were my only two offers. Arizona didn't even talk to me. Air Force Academy kind of talked to me, but other than that, I just had the two offers, and I visited both schools. And for some reason, I always wanted to be a Marine when I was a kid. I had no idea what it meant or what it was. I just saw the commercials, and I was like, that looks cool. And I was like, oh, this must be fate. I'm here. I'll have the opportunity to be a Marine and play Division I football. So that's why I chose the Naval Academy.
What did your folks say about? I mean, is it a military family, or what did they react to when you went to the service academy?
So yeah, it's not a military family. The only person that has served was my great grandfather, who was drafted. But other than that, it was not a military family. We had no military background. But my parents, they always say they knew I wanted to serve in some capacity, whether a police officer or in the military. And I felt that. So when I chose to go to the Naval Academy, they thought it was the right fit. And the presentation they give when they're recruiting you and they go over like, hey, this is what you'll be and where you'll progress. My parents loved it. It was one of the first. I was one of the first to leave Arizona from my family.
Okay.
To get a college education and to go there on a scholarship. They were pretty proud.
Yeah.
It was a great experience.
When you played high school baseball, did you win any state championships or anything in baseball or football when you were in high school?
So in baseball, I think we went to the semifinals 1 year, my junior year. So we were pretty good. And then in football, we made it to the state championship my senior year, but we were playing a Phoenix powerhouse team, and we're a small school in Vail, Arizona, with really, I was the biggest guy on the team, bigger than our linemen, and I was playing running back. So we ended up getting beat pretty bad, but it was, I mean, we made it all the way to state championship. It was a good experience.
What did you play? What position did you play in baseball?
In baseball, I played my freshman year. I was a catcher, and then I moved to first base. That I played the remainder of my time there. Mm-hmm.
And you said your family, even though you were quite a bit away, they were able to watch you play your football games throughout your career. Did you?
Yeah. So they from what I can remember, they pretty much made every single game. Maybe there's one or two that one of my parents wasn't able to make it to, but for the most part, it was either one or both of them that came to a game. And I know Nick got to make it to a couple, but as soon as he got to college, it was a little different because he couldn't miss games, he couldn't miss practice or anything like that, which I understood. But my family they would fly out to Maryland, to Notre Dame, to Florida, wherever I was playing, they would fly out to. So when I talked to my dad about it, he would always talk about he would work just for Friday because he knew he was going to hop on a plane to get to go watch me play. So like that was his whole thought the whole week. I was really thankful and grateful that they spent that much time and money just to come see me.
And you weren't just some guy. You started, I think, 3 years there. I think I didn't see the stats from your senior year, but I think you were fourth in tackles as a junior. So like you had a good career. You didn't just go out there to go to school and stuff. You had a good football career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was definitely something I wanted to pursue. I wanted to play professionally in the NFL, and I was definitely trying to pursue that as much as I could. But I ended up having a career-ending injury my senior year as the fourth game. So that's probably why my stats aren't popping up too much. But I broke my foot. I think the fourth game of the season. So, but I was there every day. I was elected the team captain, so I still was at every game during the coin toss and all that.
Who'd you play for at Navy? Like, I'm not familiar with that program.
So Ken Niumatalolo is the head coach.
He was there the whole.
He was there. He's been there. I think like 16, 17 years so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you had to say between like playing in the Army Navy game and seeing your little brother get drafted in the top 10, like how do you compare those experiences? Like how do you compare those?
I choose Nick getting drafted any day of the week. To know how much hard work that kid has put in, and to know like what my family has done, what he's done, what everyone's sacrificed. Like all the trips my parents took to Phoenix every weekend to go watch him play, to go support him, all those long car rides, everything. It was so worth it watching him get drafted, and to know like his dream came true. And for me, the Army Navy game was an awesome experience, but I think I was so focused in on beating those guys that I never really got to embrace like how many people are watching it or anything like that. But I think I really got to cherish Nick's moment.
Yeah. So I was talking to Adam, and he said that he thinks that maybe are you playing baseball like out there to get a fix or something? Like what
Yeah, pretty much. So I obviously my career was cut short with football, and I still had that itch. Like I was going to try to figure something out. And as soon as I got injured, I continued to rehab and try to recover to at least see if I can get a free agent spot in the NFL draft that year. And then the Department of Defense released a policy saying that you have to serve active duty for 2 years before you're allowed to go play professional sports. So as soon as that released, my agent called me and he was like, "Hey, it's not going to happen. There were a couple teams that were interested, but it's not." Sorry about that. it's not going to happen. And so I still had that itch, and then I found out I was coming to Okinawa, and I was just trying to find something to do to scratch that itch. And I ended up playing on the Okinawa tackle football team. It's just a bunch of guys. It's a bunch of guys getting together, playing football. Young Marines too, so I got to mentor some young Marines, and it was a good experience. And from there, that season ended, and I was trying to find something else. And I was talking to my dad about it. I was like, hey, I really miss baseball. Like, I'm going to see if there's anything here on the island or anything going on that I can jump in on. Maybe the Marine Corps has a team, or maybe there's a local like fast pitch team or something. So that day, I think it was like last year, July or something. And I looked it up on Google. That was the first thing I did. It was like July 15th. And the first article that pops up was July 14th. So the day prior, they had just released Okinawa starts first professional baseball team. Our first professional baseball team in Okinawa starts up, and then it showed they're going to have an open tryout, and they're going to try to play in the MPB, which is the Japanese Professional League. And so it's pretty much an independent team that's going to add into the expansion of the MPB. And I was like, if that's not fate, I don't know what is.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right, I'm going to train for this. I believe it was in October, the tryout. So I had like 3 or 4 months to train myself. And I went out to a sporting goods store out in town in Japan. I bought a tee, I bought a net, and I bought 2 dozen baseballs. And I set it up in my warehouse here in my shop. I put the net up, and I would hit every day 100 balls just to try to get my swing back. I knew it had been so long, and I knew I was so far behind to play at a semi-professional level. I needed to put in a bunch of hours, and I set up it's a huge concrete wall in my warehouse. I set up a big old X with duct tape, and I would just practice throwing and hitting that X. So I slowly pushed back to strengthen my arm again. And then by the time the tryout went, it was the first time I had seen live pitching in like 5 years, and I went 2 for 3. Did pretty well in the field, and then I got the call that I'd been invited to play for them. So then it just so happened to work out that my parents were here visiting in Okinawa the day that they had the huge release party of the team. So they got to be there for the inauguration of the team and got to see like a whole Japanese experience. They didn't understand a word of what was going on. Neither did I. I just kind of stood there. But they got to experience that with me, so that was awesome. And then so I started playing with them, but because of my Marine Corps career, it's very limited. I have it set up with my commanding officer to where I'm able to play on non-working hours. So if we have practice on a Saturday or Sunday, I'm there practicing with them. If we have practice at like 7 p.m. at any work day, I'm able to go practice with them. So I worked it out in my contract with the team that I'm not going to take any money because I just want to play baseball. And it wouldn't be fair for me to practice 2 hours a week, and the other dudes are putting in so much time. So I'm remained on the team, but now with COVID, it kind of pushed everything back a little bit, and so now we're still trying to work on certain things. I'm still practicing with the team when I can. I know they're practicing every day of the week right now, so I'm having a hard time getting over there. But every day that I'm available, I'm over there practicing with them.
So have you played in games and stuff, or have they not actually played a game because of COVID?
So we had 2 games. They were the exhibition games, not real, like nothing really because of COVID. The first one was the Tokyo Giants. They have their their minor league team, or their prospects came down and played us. We ended up beating them, and then we played the Beijing Tigers. So it was a Chinese team from Beijing. Their professional team in China came down, and we played them. I think we played 2 games against them.
Okay. Does Nick use I mean, you've obviously had a lot of experiences. I mean, do you? I don't know, for lack of better, do you give him advice? I mean, does he listen to
Oh yeah.
some of the experiences that, especially about, he's about to be like professional athlete? I mean,
Mhm.
does he bounce stuff off of you?
Yeah, he definitely, anything that comes up that bugs him, I know he reaches out to me, and we'll talk about it in certain things. And I mean, he's kind of a real personal guy, so he doesn't necessarily like to talk about a lot of things. But I know when something's bothering him or when something's wrong, and I'll reach out to him, and then he'll just spill it all at once.
Okay.
So yeah, he definitely reaches out to me for different advice and different experiences. And when he came out here to Japan, I think it was awesome for him to see the Japanese culture and how they do things over here. It was
Yeah.
actually pretty neat. We went to a Mizuno glove shop. So it's like this older gentleman, I would say he's like 60, 70 years old. He's been working on Mizuno gloves. He's a Mizuno glove master in
Okay.
Japan. And Nick was pretty much drooling over every glove they had in there, and he's smelling them, he's feeling them, he's like being all weird, like how
Yeah.
baseball players are with the gloves. And he starts talking to the guy, and my brother had brought an extra glove with him, a glove that he didn't really use that much, but it was a nice glove. And I was talking to him. I was like, "Hey, man, like you're never really going to get this experience again. I think it's always good to give back." And he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to give him my glove." So it says New Mexico State, and it had Nick's name on it, and he went and presented it to the guy, and he was just so happy.
Cool.
It was a really cool experience to
Yeah.
see. And then the guy took pictures with it and took pictures with my brother. And then he showed my brother how he breaks in the gloves. He has this machine that pounds the gloves, and he breaks it in. And Nick had bought a glove, and he broke it in for him, and Nick goes to squeeze it. He's like, "This is game ready right now," within like
Yeah.
30 minutes. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah. So I don't know, like 3 or 4 years ago, I don't know when did you leave the Naval Academy? When did you graduate or whatever?
2017.
Okay, so I mean, maybe he was still finishing high school ball or whatever. Part of his story that got the most attention is just that he was a walk-on at New Mexico State.
Hmm. Yep.
Um, he also had a good high school career, but I mean, was the family were you guys like wondering what was going on, like why he didn't have any offers, or um,
Um, I
how New
think
Mexico
we
State
can.
came into the picture?
Yeah, I think we kind of understood what was going on with where we lived. So Vail, Arizona. I think my family kind of got the picture from how my recruiting went.
Okay.
I was the leading tackler in the state of Arizona, and I had no offers from anyone in Arizona.
Okay.
So they kind of understood, like, hey, we're in the outskirts, we're in the middle of nowhere. And I actually spoke with my recruiting coach that signed me from Navy, and he said, if I didn't see your tape, there's no reason I would have ever went to Vail, Arizona. He's like, everything I can get is in Phoenix. I don't need to go. And that's the mentality of recruiters
Okay.
for these teams. So we kind of had the idea that that's what was going on with Nick, and he's a smaller kid. He's not as big as me, and he doesn't fit the profile of like someone that jumps out and pops out when you look at him.
Yeah.
But then he just kept working. He just kept working, and I remember New Mexico State liked him, but they just didn't have any money for him. And he told my parents, like, don't worry, like you're not only gonna have to pay for 1 year. Like it's not gonna I'm gonna get a scholarship. And my dad said the same thing to Coach Green when he first met him. He's like, hey, don't worry, Nick's gonna prove himself. I'm not too worried about it. And
Okay.
then the very first time I got to meet Coach Green, when I had flown back to New Mexico, I was talking to him too. He was talking about his work ethic, and I was like, "Don't worry, like that kid's gonna prove himself, and you're gonna be thankful that you picked him up." And it
Yeah.
ended up pretty good.
Um, so you have another year left. I mean, baseball, who knows how fast. I mean, he's going to get every opportunity, obviously, to work his way up. But
Yep.
you might be coming back to the States about the time that he might. Do you think about that? The first time you're going to be able to see him in a big league
Oh yeah.
uniform?
Oh yeah. So I was talking to him, and so I'll be able to pretty much put in my preferences for where I want to be stationed next. And I was telling him, I think I want to be closer to you. If it's the East Coast, whatever it is, I want to be able to watch you play. So we're still trying to figure out where it's going to be. I know their minor league teams are kind of spread out along the East Coast and Northeast. So I'm trying to figure out where it's going to be best to watch him play, because I want to catch as many games as I can.
Okay. What's that? Well, I mean, you're his brother. It's his family. But does the notion of just, I mean, from the outside looking in, I see, you know, like the signing bill. I mean, it's life-changing. It was a life-changing day for your family. Does that set in, or is it just you're just happy for him as your brother?
I'm just happy for him as my brother. He's going to get to do what he loves to do, and that's every person's dream. Is you love doing, or I can't even remember how it goes, but it's not work because you love doing it.
Yeah.
So he's going to get paid to do what he loves, and that made me really happy, really proud to know that, because pretty much the kid is never going to have to get a normal job. He's not going to be sitting behind a desk like I am right now for the rest of his life.
Right.
He's going to enjoy his career. He's going to enjoy his life, and he's going to have a good time. And so it's so exciting to see that, and it makes me really happy.